We're sitting down today with Dr. Zane Lawhorn, the Libertarian candidate for West Virginia's 3rd District, and we're going to go over 10 issues that have been circulating around this election cycle. First issue we're going to hit on is foreign aid. How much foreign aid, if any, should the United States send to other nations, in your opinion?
Well, I think we need to cut foreign aid tremendously. There may be an isolated case where we provide aid to certain countries that are allies of ours, but in most cases we're just wasting our money sending money overseas when it could be better used here at home.
Foreign policy. As a libertarian, you are probably pretty critical of this nation's foreign policy. What is your belief should be our foreign policy moving forward?
Well, I think we need to get out of the regime change mode. We definitely need to stop meddling in other people's affairs. I think we definitely spend way too much effort being involved in changes and policies and governments around the world. So I would prefer us to see more of a non-interventionist type policy. If we're attacked, then we will defend our nation with the full force of our might. But we were not going to rebuild countries and put troops into countries and keep them there forever.
It's no secret that the United States has been failing on the education front. The government's newest answer to that is Common Core. What is your opinion on Common Core?
Well, first of all, I want to get the federal government out of our school systems. Common Core is a disaster, but the federal government's been a disaster. You can look at scores of our children and you can see that since the federal government got involved, the scores have gone down. Our teachers are not happy. The teachers are burdened with a lot of regulations which prevents them from being able to educate their children and enjoy their work. So I want to see the federal government out of our school systems and turn it back over to our local school system.
One of the biggest issues of the last few months have been taking in refugees from other countries, especially Syria. What is your opinion on refugees?
Well, I'm opposed to the bringing in of refugees. I think we should ban Sharia law in this country. I think we should stop bringing in refugees. We're treating them like kings and giving them all these benefits when our citizens need those benefits themselves. So we need to take care of our citizens first. And there's no reason to pull up Syrian refugees and bring them into a new culture. They'd be better served to stay somewhere more close to home in a culture that's more similar to what they're used to. Because they're not assimilating to our culture. There's just creating conflicts. So I'm opposed to that entirely.
Abortion. It's been one of the biggest social issues in this country for about 50 years. You are pro-life. What is your opinion? What role should the government take in preserving the right to life?
Well, I think that is one of the fundamental rights that we have, not only as just human beings from natural law, but also through our Declaration of Independence is the right to life. I believe in the right to life from conception. I believe that all abortion is murder and that we need to stop it all. It'd be nice to see the states take this issue up because I think the states are lagging behind in the federal government's involving too many things like abortion, but I oppose it completely, and I will definitely support the Life from Conception Act.
The IRS. What is your opinion on the IRS?
Well, the IRS is a private corporation. It is not funding, it's not a government entity, it's a government agency, but only because it's a private corporation. I would like to see the IRS abolished and this nation go to a fair tax of some sort. Something that's fair for everyone. The IRS itself is just an entity that we don't need in our government.
The Federal Reserve. The Libertarian Party has been a harsh critic, really the only critic of the Federal Reserve, really since 1913. Do you share this criticism?
Yes, I do. The Federal Reserve is an unconstitutional private corporation selling our government and our people money. We're being charged for money that should be coming from the United States Treasury and printed at a low cost. Instead, we're buying it from a private corporation, and we should abolish the Federal Reserve immediately.
The United Nations. Is the U.S. too involved in the United Nations? Are they involved enough? What would you, as a congressman, what would be your role going forward?
I would like to see the United Nations get out of the United States and the United States out of the United Nations. I think we just need to tell them to hit the road.
The Second Amendment, obviously, the right to own and carry guns. How important of an issue is this to you?
Well, that's an extremely important issue because the right to own and bear arms is the cornerstone of our constitutional rights. Without the right to bear arms, we have no other rights. They will all be taken away from us. So we are a free republic because of the Second Amendment. So there is no ground that we can give on the Second Amendment. It shall not be infringed.
All right. And your campaign is all about jobs.
Jobs is my number one priority. You know, Southern West Virginia needs good paying jobs. And when I get elected, I want to introduce the Save Coal Act to put our coal miners back to work, abolish the EPA policies. I want to get the King Coal Highway funded and completed so we can diversify our economy. I want to reform the Dodd-Frank Act so our local banks can loan money. I want to change our tax code until we can abolish it completely. We want to change the tax code so our businesses can hire people and be profitable. The small business is the backbone of our economy, and if we can help create jobs in small businesses all across our country, every community will benefit from that. So jobs is my number one priority, and that's what this election is all about, is hiring somebody as congressman that will create jobs. And the first thing we got to do is get the government out of the way, because the overregulation from the federal war on coal has devastated our economy. So I will definitely fight for jobs, and I won't get paid until 1,000 jobs are created.
Dr. Zane Lawhorn, Libertarian candidate for West Virginia's 3rd Congressional District.